People will be used to seeing conventional step sequences in which a playhead advances through the sequencer, selecting one gate at a time at a fixed rate, as in this Beatstep Pro. I've set up the same rather tedious sequence on this system, which borrows a voltages expander from Music Thing Modular, usually used as an expander for the Turing Machine. As you see, it is excited by this mess of wires, which is driving one of the steps at a time. More usually, of course, the voltages expander has more than one of its sliders excited at a time, but at the moment we're seeing it operating as a conventional step sequencer, just as the Beatstep Pro was a moment ago. However, I can change things so that more than one of the steps are excited at a time, like this, where you see two steps driven. There's a pair of adjacent steps excited and they're moving along such that effectively there are two playheads scanning down the sequencer at the same rate. I can change the spacing between them a little bit more, like this. That's fairly familiar territory for applications of the voltages expander. What you won't have seen though before in that context is the ability to stop one of the scanning heads, for example there. And similarly, what I don't think is so familiar is the ability for one of the scans to move through at the ordinary clock rate that you've heard before, and the other to scan through at a different rate, which in this case is asynchronous to the first rate and sounds like this. Two rates are separately controlled, the oscillators are completely asynchronous, and I've chosen them to be related fairly closely to a ratio of small integers, so you get this interesting sort of dotted effect. The other thing that's unfamiliar from an ordinary application of voltages or an ordinary sequencer is the ability to synchronize the two scans, so that the second scan is synchronized to the end of the first scan's track through the whole 8 steps in this case. It sounds like this. So the second scan increments from one step to the next every time the first scan reaches the end of the 8 steps. Thereby the sequencer is effectively sort of transposing itself on every pass through the 8-step sequence, making it effectively a 64-step sequence.